this here is the story of a madman named Run. You may think it's a strange name for a man's only son, but it turns out the boy couldn't move as fast as his name, and it helped him hone his skill when he played the kill game. Well, you better run, 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 just run away. Don't you scream and don't you try to hide. You just need to run, run, run far away before he pulls your intestines to the outside.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Attack of the Spotlight. I'm Kyle Pierson.
And I am John Horton, and we have some special guests today. We have got the team from NKY Films who are here to talk about their latest film that they're going to be working on, Run. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and let us know what part are you taking in this film?
My name's Ricky Glore. I am one of the three writers, which you have all three on the show tonight, of Run, and I am also directing and, as we all do, wear many hats, executive producing, and just really seeing the project from seed to stem and just full on pot plant. That's just that's my involvement with the film.
I'm Eric M. Hunter. I am also 1/3 of the writers, and I will be playing the serial killer, The Beater.
Oh, very nice.
And he just posted. So when I was in Disney, he sent me a picture of The Beater at Disney World, and I was just like, "Oh, this is awesome!" It's like, who is the Beater? Like, what is the Beater? The Beater of what?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, that could be the Beater of Sweet Meats. So
that's the sequel. That's the sequel.
The worlds collide.
That's right.
I'm Gage.
I'm Gage. I'm Gage Dailey. I'm a camera op, co-writer as well. Wearer of many hats as well, I guess. We're all wearing all the hats. It's fun.
Not coffee deliverer.
Not coffee deliverer.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Job at one point. Or is
Yeah,
like, well, going up, guys? I gotta get back to
Ricky, you've been with us 3 times now. You've been on the podcast twice, so we're very good. You're helping keep us afloat, basically, and we hope we're doing the same for you. So tell us more about Run.
Tentatively titled just Run. Giovanni Freza, who we just announced is making his 41-year film return in Run as a giallo slasher named Vespa. So if you've ever seen any giallo horror movies like Whatever Happened to Solange or anything Dario Argento before Suspiria, there is a leather requirement when it comes to giallo, whether it's black leather gloves or whatever. Yes. So that's Giovanni in the film. I want to just hand it over to Dage. That's your new nickname, Daily Gage. Deja, to talk about what the movie is, because I don't think this is one of my favorite examples of indie and true all indie, like improv, stand-up, like impulse ways, while like having it be organized. This idea started years ago, but the movie comes to be starting in December, and it's with Gage.
Yeah, so we while we were working on Casually Cool, I had seen a clip of Ricky's stand-up that was a bit about he was heavier at the time, and
360 pounds.
360 pounds. Well, he's down 5.
Ricky.
Thank you.
But he
that is quite the accomplishment, I gotta say. It
really is. It is amazing. Even the first time I saw it, I was like, "That's not the guy I know. Who is this?" But So he had a stand-up bit just basically about how in these like 90s slashers where it's like a whodunit, it's never a guy that looks like me. Because it'd be obvious, basically. I mean, I'm butchering. I'm not even doing the bit, but
that's the gist. Like, what if a 360-pound person was Ghostface in that like spandexy, like very slimming, like it can be anybody because it's just a shape, right? Mm-hmm. But if it was a 360-pound friend, like if Randy like the movie nerd was actually someone who looked like me in latter high school, like pimply, like yeah, and like like overweight and just greasy. There would be no Agatha Christie whodunit. It would just be like, it's that kid.
Yeah.
That kid who's breathing
Pretty
really
sure
heavy.
it's him.
Yeah, when he chases, like, there's no reveal. It's like, and I'm crazy. And it's just like, yeah, but you also have diabetes, possibly.
Yeah.
Juvenile.
You
But
have the same
these were
run that you
shaking.
have on the playground.
Yeah. We can hear you wheezing. But it's just a funny bit. And then I was like, damn, that would be a really funny concept as for a feature. And actually, initially for a short, I wrote it as a short. So I wrote a little a short kind of based on that. But really, the premise being like, what made it interesting to me was like, could you take a slasher and make it like in an unironic way, in a serious way? Could you make the crowd root for him, like in a sweet way? And so if it is, it started out like there's this slasher. He's one of the originals. He gets overweight. He gets out of shape. He ages. And then it all falls apart, and it's sad now. But he still wants to. He still has this like passion for it and wants to keep doing it.
This is Gage describing us making Casually Cool. He's looking at me, Eric Hunter, Nick Hines, all these 40-year-olds like,
God,
man,
how are they
want to
doing
keep
this?
on. Yeah, they want to keep. No,
come on,
not
guys.
me.
Yeah. Your
No, but
prime
it
was
is-
20 years ago, but we appreciate the effort.
Exactly.
Yeah, your YouTube, MySpace era. Yeah. Ooh, what are you going to do? Edgar Wright quick cut here? Like,
Exactly what we
You really belong on a podcast. That's what you should be hosting right
yeah.
now. That's it.
Yeah, there we go. But so I wrote up like I don't even remember if it was like 20 or 30 pages as a short, because it didn't have it to me, at least my concept at first, it was kind of a long setup for one punchline, right?
but
Where
it had so
not
much
even
heart. It had so much heart,
Yes.
though, in it that, like, everything you just said, it took care of this, what I've, like, have kind of described it to, like, I talked to Andrew Thorpe, who was in Casually Cool, who I worked with in Chicago at Second City. He is playing the original run, and in our world, he's basically Leatherface 1974, because to me that's the original mass slasher. But physically, he's more like Leatherface meets Nick Castle's Michael Myers, like where it's just a shape, it's just a shadow, it just looks like a guy. Like there's nothing hulking about it, and there's nothing unassuming. It could be literally probably me, Gage, or Eric walking down the street, and you like wouldn't think like, what's their weight, what's their height. Like it's just this amorphous shape.
White man. Thanks, Ricky.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but that goes with the story. But what I talked to Andrew Thorpe today, and he's like, "So what should I watch?" And I was like, "Rewatch Halloween, OG, Texas Chainsaw, OG, maybe the Rocky movies." And I was like, "And here's the ones you watch because it's really like that." And then we came to, he had never seen The Natural with Robert Redford.
Oh, okay.
And I had never thought that movie to be kind of what the outline of Run is as well, in one condensed movie, not in a franchise like Rocky does. The Natural kind of, yeah, I mean, it's so much Rocky. I mean, of like in Freddy versus Jason, and like using the horror landscape as a background. Yeah. But
Yeah,
but I mean, Gage, you had that in the, like, you had the essence of why we want to follow this character.
Yeah, that
or
was
even a
that
short.
was like the most important thing. That's what, like I said, that's like what made it interesting, is just that trying to get that reaction from an audience is really interesting to me. Like this, because it does start out, this guy is a slasher, and it starts out pure horror. I'm talking about the initial. Started out pure horror, and then there's a turn where all of a sudden, hopefully, the audience is on his side and is like, man, I want to see this guy get back in shape and get this done, And then you realize you're rooting for him to kill a bunch of innocent people. Like it's not, like, so that's like the fun. That's what makes it interesting to me, at least. So then whenever it came to turning it into a feature, there
And
were
that
so
all
many
happened during
threads.
Casually Cool. Like,
Oh, yeah,
he wrote,
during the
like,
production of Casually Cool.
He wrote that, like, we were on week 2 filming at BB Riverboats, filming our opening shot of the dead mermaid on the shore in the middle of winter at the Ohio River. And we're sitting in BB's commissary, kind of like banquet hall. And Gage had sent me the short over the weekend in between shooting weeks. And I was like, I can't believe you wrote this up while we're like doing 14-hour filming days. Like that's insane. And like coming back immediately the next morning and not getting me coffee. But like
That's why he wasn't getting you coffee.
executing this like other thing while we're doing this other intensive thing. But like reading it, I was just like, oh, this is the treatment for a feature. Like this is at least just the prologue. Like to get us into who the character is and what the overall story, the crux of it is going to be. And I keep on saying, like, doesn't matter if it's about a plumber, if it's Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe. I mean, another boxing movie, but that kind of like, there's something left in the basement, and you are never what you are told you are. You are who you want to be and who you evolve to be and who you decide you are. Like finding your voice, and like whether that's stand-up comedy, which I think is the number one thing that comedians chase, or just artists in general, is finding your voice. And yeah, and it's killing people. Yeah. It's like, it's literally, and luckily he lives in an alternate world of ours where it's not said in the movie, but Vietnam doesn't happen. And they're just like, oh, great, we need to have some sort of population control. We're going to have the Free to Kill You and Me Act, kind of like an ongoing purge, but it's satiating these psychopaths who kill for no reason or for their own Bibelistic like reasons. And then having that layer and using the horror genre with slashers through the evolution of the 80s, like that's why I say Rocky, like Rocky 3. And that opening montage, Eye of the Tiger, is the apex of like, that also is Freddy. In like 87, 88, Dream Warriors to Dream Master, holy shit. Like, it's MTV, it's everywhere. There's plush dolls, there's toys, there's 1-800 numbers.
Realization of it all.
Yeah.
Everything gets corporatized. And so in our world with Run, it's that same idea. So Run becomes so good at his job that he becomes the Michael Jordan of mass serial killers.
Yes.
And they're making t-shirts on him. They're making plushies. And then when he retires, it is very much of that, like he's watching his past life go by him. He's seeing his friends grow old with him as well, and they're not keeping up with things. But then all of a sudden, there's got to be a reboot, right? There has to be a remake. And that's when Run 2.0 comes out. And it's like, well, fuck that guy. He'll never be able to do it.
And that's 2006, right? That's Platinum Dunes. That's the Michael Bay remakes. That's Texas Chainsaw.
Faster. And it's like, the reason why Michael Myers is so good is because he's smart. Like, he knows that he can creep in certain places. He's paying attention. He's not crushing through windows. I mean, I guess Jason does in a couple of times. But like, they did it differently back then, like they do now.
Well,
and like,
okay, I think
every avenue.
Well, like we always say, it's the movie ends up being the third act is Tyler Maine's Michael Myers, Rob Zombie's Michael Myers versus Nick Castle's Michael Myers, but like at their same ages, at their same heights. So Sean Stewart, Lord Crew, who is I mean, what is he classified in the wrestling community? A badass, but like, what is his?
He's a heel.
Yeah,
sure.
he's a brawler. He's a bad dude, without a doubt.
So Gage, as like he presented this short story, and I'm like, I think this is a feature, and we start talking about it. Like I said, at B&B Riverboats, and it evolves. I bring in Eric, and I was just like, so Gage has this short. Yeah. I mean, so Eric, what do you remember when I like first came to you, like how it became a script and how it like grew into this examination of not just a man in our capitalistic world, our, lack of false loyalty, lack of false nationalism. There's so many things that exist in this movie with it all being subtext.
So just for a little bit of context, me and Ricky have been friends since the first grade.
Oh, yeah.
And we've been friends ever since. We've been writing scripts and doing shorts since, early high school years and then all the way through that. So obviously Ricky and I, we've created a shorthand. But one of the things that we really make sure we pay attention to is if something feels like it's coming to us fairly easily or pieces are really starting to make sense, we realize that this is just the thing we need to chase after. So when we read Gage's short, we're just like, man, there's something here. I don't know if Gage knows what he did or if he was trying to do it.
What did you do?
There's something here. Like this kid's got something. And it's just like, and it became one of those things where it'd be like in the middle of the night and Ricky would text me and be like, I can't stop thinking about this stupid fucking idea. And I was like, I know there's something to it. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I really hold on to the Rocky aspect of it, but it is also just that idea of like, what a ridiculous world that we live in right now, where it's like people are feeling bad for Ted Bundy. And it's like, well, we just watched this documentary about him and, you know, they did him wrong. It's like, I'm pretty sure he was eating people. Like,
I'm pretty sure this dude has been with a dead body.
It's for clicks, it's for advertising, it's to sell. It's because there's a company that's behind these things that are pushing things out because they have to hit minimums and they have to hit their ROI and shit. And it's like, I live in the corporate world. I hear this stuff all the time. And it's like, man, if we take that idea of corporatization, of capitalization, of like just trying to make a dollar or a dime into a dollar.
It's what was done to us, the things that we loved. And like Gage is younger than we are. I mean, I think you are a decade.
Not by much.
But I'm saying that VHS era.
I'm way younger.
So young, a baby. Goo goo gaga.
The beard is still black and mine is white, so there's a difference there.
Oh, and look at that full head of hair. Look how long it is. Just flaunting it in front of all of us. But like,
you're a rat bastard is what you are.
So like, even though Hunter and I are 1985 kids, Eric's uncle had a video store. We were rural northern Kentucky where it was like video stores were king. Like even before Blockbuster, it was mom and pops. And it still was. And like some of my first memories are, I was saying to my dad the other day, I was like, I have this core memory of wood John, not unlike your house, wood paneling and a Predator hanging standee of Arnold and the Predator vision, like in the sights. It's like an aim, like hanging. Mm-hmm. And I was like, where was that? He's like, I'll tell you where it was. He's like, it was at the, Eric, you might be able to say the Ameristop across the street from the VFW if you're heading towards the high school.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there is a strip mall like heading back into past Alexandria, Kentucky. Maybe it's still Alexandria, but he's like it was just this small one-room video store that had weird shit, and he bought Bride of the Monster and a big box Ed Wood VHS tape from this place when it went out. Like just that culture, like we grew up loving it, right? Like it was, we were able to binge these series, but we were able to binge the series because they're already done by the time we got to watch them, right? Like,
yeah, we were definitely watching the movies that our dads were watching, you know, and that's another thing that we've kind of realized that
we were watching movies that our dads got hand jobs to.
But I mean, it is that thing, you know, so with Run, like we're taking this character and like, again, to Gage's point from the heart of what the short that he wrote, it's like, how do we make a story? How do we mold a character to really have the audience rooting for him? And it's like, well, the easy thing is to make somebody who's bigger and badder, and he's the worst now. So he's the antagonist now. But it's also just like, man, all this shit sucks too. Like all this stuff sucks. Like he doesn't have the rights to himself anymore. Like he is such this character. He is so Run that he doesn't know how to be anybody else. Like there's a part in the script where they're watching a documentary or just like a clip show of like his greatest kills, and like they call him an artist, and it's just like, you would never do that today because it just doesn't have that same kind of flair. It doesn't have that same kind of the touch on your palate, you know, when you're talking about certain things. Like you wouldn't say that, you know, well, I was just say you wouldn't say Taylor Swift is an artist, but I don't think she's an artist like Michael Jackson was. Do you know what I mean? Like
it's all right? It's all perception, and that's what like.
Right, and it
depends on who you're asking, because there's a lot of little girls out there.
I mean, my daughter included, who sees representation. Like it's something I never even thought of as a parent. Like I knew I didn't want to force the pop culture I liked on her. I wanted to find out what she liked, and then be like, oh, let me research and find out how we can connect and blah blah blah. But like, she would ask me, Daddy, like, is the lead character a girl? like
You talked about Blink-182. Who is that?
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, she's definitely listened to Blink-182 and like doesn't understand 90% of lyrics, hopefully. But no, she would ask like, so she like shows like Gravity Falls, shows like Big City Greens on Disney that have strong female characters that aren't relegated to being females, if that makes any sense. They're just characters on their own.
Operanda. It's just
Okay.
But I mean, sorry, yeah. You guys ask about Run now that you've whatever, anything that you want to ask about it. We're open books.
You're gonna go, John?
Yeah, I actually.
Okay, I was gonna say so. I always talk over John all the time, so I'm trying not to do that anymore. So you dive in.
Well, two of the things that I really want to know: how did you get Bob out of retirement, and how did you get? We haven't talked about it yet, but you got Uwe Boll as a producer on here. How the hell did that happen?
That's all Ricky. Tell us, Ricky.
The quick of Giovanni Freza was I was doing a Mystery Science Theater 3000 like show in Chicago. It was live at the theater Andrew, Timmy Barron, and I worked at called Public House Theater. And the first movie we did was Warriors of the Wasteland, which was a recommendation. I'd watched it with Mike Flincham. This Italian, it's also known as The New Barbarians. It's an Italian ripoff, easy enough to say, of Mad Max. Fred Williamson is in it. George Eastman's in it, who just passed away. Yeah. And so is Giovanni Freza. As a precocious, being a Phantasm fan, he kind of felt like a Mike Conduit meets Macaulay Culkin meets the kid in Phantasm Part 3, Tim, which also satiated, when I was growing up, Tim Drake in the Batman comic books at that time, who is the third Robin. All of those kind of characters in this weird early 80s Italian exploitation, sci-fi exploitation movie, this character exists and he's a kid, and I'm watching it and I was just like, man, there's some bad dubbing in this movie. But I'm just like, this kid is fantastic. Like, he is a little Macaulay Culkin. Like, he's building little inventions. He's the best mechanic in this movie. Fantastic character. We're watching the movie. I hadn't even known House by the Cemetery yet. That was a full cheat I hadn't come across. Like, I grew up watching Gates of Hell, a.k.a. City of the Living Dead. Right. That wasn't the Fulci I was super familiar with, like family friendly, because my dad was showing me messed up stuff.
You haven't seen Faces of Death?
Oh, we did. We watched Faces of Death. But so we're writing the script. So it's a pretty big writing staff for an MST3K type show. It's very writing intensive. You have to write a very long script for the show, and it has to be very specific with timestamps, with little cues of like what you're visually seeing. If the joke, if there's a big laugh, you have to skip it. Blah blah blah. We're watching it, and one of our writers, who will remain nameless, even though I don't think he works for the company in Chicago anymore. He's like,
no, I don't know what his name is.
No, I do. I'll say Mort Lormson is we used to call him, which is not his real name. Mort Lormson said, "What's the real name of that Italian kid, the little Macaulay Culkin?" And like looked it up. I was like, Giovanni Freza. And he's like, I'm pretty sure I work at the same company that he works at downtown in Chicago.
Holy shit.
And I was just like, pull him, like you got the directory? And he's like, yeah. I was like, you got a picture of him? And he's like, yeah. He pulls it up. I was like, that's gotta be him. Like, that's gotta be that dude grown up.
Wow.
It's gotta be him. So we, that night, we're like, okay, this is Kismet. We're doing our show in 2 months. We gotta invite him, but we can't. He's like, I can't lose my job. He's like, this is a pretty big company. I was like, yeah. He's like, but if you can find his email by like reverse engineering, like Googling, from somewhere else, then I have deniability of how you found it, even if they know I'm connected to this. And we're like, okay. I don't know why we were so like, because we were actors in Chicago with like a $12 an hour job. And so I emailed and I was just like, hey, this is what we're doing. Would love for you to be there. Also, Trace Ballew, who was Crow and Dr. Forrester, recorded our intro because I had interviewed him for a podcast Eric and I did called Real 90, where we talked about the MST3K movie. And I just reached out and I was like, can I interview you? And he's like, yeah. So then in Chicago, I was like, we're doing this live MST3K like show. Could you do our intro? He's like, sure. He's like, it's going to sound like shit because it's on my flip phone.
Well, so any aspiring filmmakers or artists or creatives or whoever, take this because the Uwe Boll thing's the exact same thing. Just ask. The worst they can say is no. Just ask. Just reach out if you have a contact or you have an email address, or if you, oh God, the amount of traction we've gotten on things just by messaging people on Twitter. And it's just like, hey, do you mind retweeting this? Or like, yep. And it's just like, now you just suddenly have access to millions of fans.
Yeah.
Because you just ask.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Duplass, Mike Flanagan helped produce All Your Friends Are Dead, our first movie, by giving he bought the Blu-ray and he also kicked in some extra money. And so ever since then, I've had his contact. I've reached out to him. I've reached out to Mark Duplass. They've responded and they're just like, keep it up. Like, basically, like, just keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, it might seem tough. And there's like, we can't sweep, like Mark Duplass famously, the cavalry's not coming. Like, I can't sweep in and like save you, but like, it looks like what you're doing is good. And like, that's just really nice. Like, people, that small thing of like, that might get you through the day of like, fuck, we're not raising any money for this thing that like everybody, like the train is already leaving. If they just like retweet it or whatever, like, man, that could maybe bring the eyes and ears. But to this example, Giovanni, when I reached out about the show, I was like, is there anything you could do for it? Like a pre-recorded message or whatever? Do you want to come? I was like, and we'll take care of you, like bar tab, like blah, blah, blah. And he was like, honestly, he's like, he replied, email. He's like, I've not seen that movie since the premiere. And I was a child. I don't remember it. He's like, this sounds like a good time. And would I be able to bring my 2 teenage sons? And we were like, yeah. I was like, but just FYI, like there's some pretty hardcore stuff in the movie. Like if you don't remember.
You don't remember.
Yeah, in case you're forgetting your own film, there's some stuff. There's some Sodom and Gomorrah level stuff in the movie. But with like shoulder pads because they're trying to be in the future, but it's football helmets and shoulder pads. But so, and he's like, no. He's like, they're good. He's like, they're 16 and 17 or whatever. And I was like, okay. So they came night of. He participated in like, we had some games. We did like MST3K where we had host segments where we played drinking games with the audience. And he loved it. He had such a good time. Flash forward to 3 months ago. We were making content for the Run promotion, and I don't like just creating content unless it serves kind of this narrative function. And we had this short called Tag that featured a motorcycle leather-clad Giallo-inspired killer that Mike Flinchman played that we filmed, Nick Heinz and I did on Halloween night like 7 years ago when I first moved back to Kentucky to see if we could still film stuff again and if the old muscle still worked. And it doesn't on a whole, but I was like, okay, I can repurpose this and we can make it content as another slasher killer that exists in the world. And I'll lean into the Giallo and the Italian of it all. And I'm going to call it Vespa. Because what is less sexy and satirical than a leather-clad, like, Giallo killer who rides a tiny little, like, ching, 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 like as he speeds away at 12 miles an hour. Like, just, but again, a joke without like having it like textualized. Like no one's referencing it. Like, did you get it? His motorcycle is very small and like runs slow. But like, I was like, that's the character. And I'm going to make an exit interview because I have all that stuff. I still have the motorcycle helmet. I have the gloves, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to film myself doing this. And I'm going to put it through a Google app that can convert the dialogue that I'm writing into Italian spoken language. That's what technology is.
Yeah.
I'm using it. And so I made that video and I was just like, who do I know that's Italian? I was like, Giovanni Freza. And I was like, do I still have him in my phone? It's Thursday night in April or March. And I'm like, I'm going to text him and just pitch him in one text. Just be like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. 10 years ago in Chicago, you did this thing. I looked up his IMDb and I'm like, wow, he's not acted. Stunt casting. It's not like some other, horror actors who appear in a lot of crowdfunded things. Like, he's not done that. He's actually semi-elusive. And I was like, oh, that makes me feel good about our get for...
Well, he has a real life. He's a physicist, right? Or an engineer.
Oh, he's a genius.
Yeah, like he doesn't need
he's
to stunt cast.
really?
Yeah, he came to America as a citizen in 2008 because he is an engineer, just brilliant person with technology, which plays into why he says yes. I text him this, and he says, yep, I remember you. It was one of my most cherished nights with my sons. He's also very direct because of the language barrier. He says exactly what he is thinking, which sometimes sounds flowery or like over emotionally driven. But he's just like, yep, it was one of my most cherished nights with my sons. We had such a good night. We laughed so hard. I am very interested in this project you're talking about. Tell me more. And I was like, here's the expectations. You'd film one day. It's like, we'll fly you in, we'll whatever. Like, tell us like what it'll take. You're this character. The character appears throughout the movie, but you only need to be it for this one scene that happens before the third act where there's a bowling alley melee of hillbillies where you and Run just kill everybody in the bowling alley in every way you can possibly think of.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. Spoiler alert.
You got an exclusive. Okay. And I was like, but it's one day, and it's this scene. And I was like, I saw that you haven't acted in a while. And then he's telling me, he's like, yeah. He's like, I worked with Lamberto Bava. I worked with Dario Argento. I worked with Fulci. But a lot of people don't know that I worked in Italian comedies and like in commercials. He's like, that's where I was so well known, was being this comedic like child actor before I decided college or continue acting. And I decided I wanted to go play sports. I wanted engineering. And he's like, but this character and the expectations sounds amazing. And I was like, well, what would you want for such a participation in this? And he's just like, honestly, morbid curiosity of, I want to see you do this on the budget that you're talking. And I love this idea. He's like, I just want to see you do it. He's like, so if you take care of basically me getting there, we're good.
Wow. Nice.
And even crazier. It was literally just Ricky sending him a video on Twitter and saying, hey, we're making a movie that's kind of the same title as the movie that you just came out. Do you want to?
That's you, Bull. That's you, Bull.
That's what I'm saying.
Not Giovanni. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Through TikTok. Through TikTok and Twitter, you Bull. I decided the TikTok that we have for the movie, which is X hack and slash employ OG Run. I was like, you know what? What if I unfollowed everybody that we're following? And I know that's a shitty thing to do, but like, what if I only followed one person and it was you, Bull, who was like turning out kind of the movies we were talking about, like House of the Dead, Blood Rain, like these movies of like 2005, 2006, like these video game, like Alone in the Dark, that subsect of horror that we're commenting on in the movie. What if I only followed his account? And then what if he recognized it and then I sent him a message and was just like, hey, would you come on as a producer of the movie? And this is the movie and this is why I think this would be awesome. And he was just like, yup.
Just ask.
Wow.
All you have to do is
You realize you're admitting to manipulating him, right?
It's deeply psychological.
Not that he's going to watch this, but you're admitting to manipulating this
He
man.
already wants to see, once we have an edit, he's like, do you have foreign distribution? He's like, my company, is primarily, Vigilante, which is coming out with our Army Hammer, which actually kind of looks like an awesome, like, throwback, like, late 80s, early 90s action movie, like, unapologetic, like, dumb action movie that also we're all very much fans of on this podcast, and Nick Hines included.
He's not on the podcast.
Yeah, he's dead to us. But he has said he's just like, I do want to see the movie when you guys make it. He's like, because I want to see, it could possibly have a really good foreign market, because basically what the story is it's this silent slasher killer who his story is told through montages and like it weirdly kind of works in all languages so far, I think.
That's incredible.
So I've got a question. So you're filming Casually Cool. This great idea pops up. You're like, this is a movie we got to make. How was the conversation with Eileen Ernest when you said, we're skipping Truly Trudy, we're moving to this new film? How did that go?
It's real easy, because if you follow Eileen, she announced that she is going to be the queen at the Renfest.
Is she?
In Pennsylvania. She is at the #1 Renfest. She is playing the queen, a role that she has wanted for a very long time.
No kidding. I do follow her, and I did not see that.
So two conversations coalesce at pretty close to the same time. The one that I hate saying, which is like, I don't think we're gonna get $40,000 to make this movie. Truly Trudy, just because of the scope of it. It would be a lie for me to be like, yeah, we could make this for 20,000 or 15 or whatever. And we didn't even have that. At the same time, she's like, hey, so is Trudy going to happen? Because I'm also being offered this role that I really have wanted to be for a long time. And it's a long-term contract. And so it was literally being like, there are zero hard feelings. Like, in the reality of this world, we cannot move forward and keep your schedule for us.
Yeah.
Like, you need to do that. And everybody is sad by that thing not coming to be, but we got to have amazing table read. It means
well, on top of that, like, we really did write that film for her. Like her personality's in that character, her sense of humor is Trudy. Like, it was just like, man, this is kind of for Eileen. And then when the news came, and it's just like, so, well, Eileen can't do it. And it's just like, oh, well, then this movie's not happening. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, as much as, and again, in a perfect world, if we had a budget, if we had casting directors, if all that bullshit, we're going to be like, oh, we'll just find somebody else and we'll fill the role. And it's just
or
like, man,
we would have said, like, what are they offering you for your contract in Pennsylvania? We'll double it, like, whatever. Like, we can't lose you. Like,
this is the live and die when it comes to indie film, or just indie anything. Like, it just, sometimes you just gotta let those things go.
Well, and luckily we've had that before with The Pivot. It's weird that it's been a musical to
open house stuff come up.
The open house, yeah. It's the move from open house to Sweetmeats. So the reason why Run, we were under no legal obligation for anybody who funded Casually Cool on Indiegogo to fulfill the 2 films in 1 calendar year. We could have like pushed that off to the side and been like, turns out we can't do it. Like, it takes money that we don't have. But Run, I was like, man, we're talking horror here, and like we can make this in a way that I think will only cost us $15,500. Now, it's 11 days, and we're a far cry from that on Scene Spark, but we have a lot of press, this included, like, that we're doing, and we even have more announcements. Like, today was one of them that you can get killed on screen by Giovanni Freza as Vespa in the bowling alley scene. He will do an autograph. He'll do a signed meet and greet. Or he agreed to, you get a signed script by the guy who's making his 41-year return back to film.
Yep.
And
That's
the
cool.
15,
Cool.
the 15.5 is really just to cover me. So,
Oh, when Hyatt's is in
Tony.
here, Gage takes it.
Well,
Well, it is his idea after all. I mean,
hey, I like this guy.
There is no Run without Gage.
Mr. Horton, you're a gentleman and a scholar.
He is the Gage for this whole film,
There
as
we
far
go.
as we're concerned. So we
All
will
right,
have
I'll take 16.
There you go. We'll provide the link in the description to the Seed and Spark to try to push more people that way. Have you noticed, because we've been having we have a guest on probably every one a month lately, and it seems like it is getting more and more difficult for these fundraisers to hit their goals. In fact, I had my very first one that ended up canceling because they could not get there. And it was on Indiegogo, where now it's all or nothing situation.
Yep.
Are you finding that to be the case, not just with yours, but with other ones that you're familiar with your friends? What do you think may be contributing to that, if that's the case? What are your thoughts on that? And what can we do to turn that around?
I think there's just so many. It's a very saturated thing. Everybody's trying to make a movie, so it's tough to stand out. I think that we do have a ton, like he just said, you can get killed in the movie. We have some benefits to donating that are really cool, like really awesome things. So there's more to it. It's not just like you're pre-ordering the movie, right? Like there are ways to make it more interesting. But I think there's just so many movies, there's just so many people trying to make movies. It's a very saturated thing to try and get funding.
Yeah, no, and that's actually, it's funny you should say that. I've brought that up with every person I've interviewed that is having an issue, and they're like, no, that's not the case. And I'm like, really? Because there's a lot of them. There's a lot there's 3 Return of the Living Dead sequels coming out, and like 3 Night of the Living Dead sequels, and there's all, 16 Amityvilles.
So everything you just said, Kyle, has one thing in common. That, again, I will Carnival Barker, our movie. Yeah. Fucking IP. Yep. You just mentioned IP. Like, we are not IP. We are an original, like, even though we're playing on the nostalgia angle, we are an original horror movie that we joked about at the beginning, having Eric being the beater, Sweetmeats. The butcher from Sweetmeats appears in the movie. The character Gage played in the opening day short, Peanut Butter, right? Isn't that the name of the character? Who's wearing the All Your Friends Are Dead mask? Like, will be in the movie. Like, all of our past things, and we only discovered this when I was making the Scene Spark pitch video, when I was using all the shorts from that we've been accumulating over the years. We have this kind of treasure chest of masked killers, because we are fans of those. And we're like, all right, what is our holiday? What is the reason? What is the motive? And over the years, we've had all those. And it's just like, all right, the only one we don't own is the butcher from Sweetmeats. But because we do have a good relationship, Lloyd is sharing shit all the time. I have to get Michael Hertz and Lloyd Kaufman to okay anything we use Sweetmeats. So in Casually Cool, it's Sweetmeats chili. They had to say it's okay. Right. For Run, spoiler, you guys, I think, are getting it first. The butcher appears in this world, as does the killers from Call, NKY Film short film that we did, as does everything that we've done. If it's had a masked killer, it's gonna appear in this movie, which people are talking about. They wanna fund or not fund the Amityville or Never Hike in the Woods, the Friday the 13th, Endless, because that franchise. Everybody is fan writing that franchise, Friday the 13th. They're just like, what if this franchise was good and Jason was in the woods and like did this or was in space, and then they give you that movie. Like Todd Farmer gives you that movie. Like, what if Jason was an alien instead of the xenomorph? And they did it, and it's fucking fantastic. But when it comes out, people are like, oh, this movie fucking sucks. Like, why'd they do this to Jason? And it's just like, what do you mean, why'd they do this to Jason? You mean the character that was incredibly two-dimensional, created for capitalism, basically by Sean S. Cunningham, stolen from Victor Miller? Like, our movie is the epitome of that VHS horror culture that wants that popcorn horror movie, that it has a message like a Candyman. When that remake came, or when the requel came out, and people are just like, I don't know why it's got to be so political. It's just like,
you've never seen Candyman before.
Did you never you like the idea of Bloody Mary? Yeah.
Now too, like you look at Chris Stuckman and Shelby Oaks. Like he had 35 million followers on YouTube that he took 10 years to create, and then when he launched his crowdfunding
Kickstarter,
Yeah, you know, and it's just like, and you're looking at people
Mike
now,
Flanagan supports him. He picks up the movie.
right? You know, and then you look at people like Curry Barker, who did Obsession, and Kane, I can't remember his last name, who did
Parsons.
Parsons,
Yeah.
who did Backrooms, and it's just like
Duplass.
these people are, yeah, it's that idea of just like, oh, you're a 20-year overnight success, and it's just like, yes, because that's how this works. Like, Run is not our first movie. This is our fourth feature film, third feature film. Which one is this, Ricky?
It will be fourth once it comes out after Casually Cool. Yeah.
Cool. So it's like, it's not like we've never made a movie before. Like, All Your Friends Are Dead was done for $5,600 and $8,000 worth of favors, because that's just how these small projects get made. You know, it's not like we've never done this through the trenches before. We know exactly where we are. Like, we know exactly what we're doing. But to Gage's point, it's like, yeah, it's oversaturated with people who are either banking on IP or have no history of what they're doing. They have no following. They have no nothing. Or it's like with us, it's like, we're creating IP. We're creating something brand new. Like,
but it's still, to your point, Kyle, it still is very hard. And it's like we're getting this press, like we're getting Fangoria mentioned, where Fangoria doesn't like to promote these endless amounts of crowdfunding things because a lot of them don't come to fruition. But what was attracted to them was the Giovanni of it all, the Mark Schoenbach amazing poster. U-Bowl wasn't even attached at that point. But luckily, Maggie, the journalist who wrote up the article for Fangoria, she didn't put the Scene Spark link in, but she smartly made NKY Films a hyperlink that went to our main website. That at the top, luckily, Nick Hyance in all red made the top clickable bar the Scene Spark link. So but like we've had press. We're going to have more. Gary Kroger, who's an executive producer from Saturday Night Live, who plays multiple characters in Run. He plays all the prophets of doom, like all the harbingers of doom, like the Crazy Ralphs.
Okay.
He's
all the variations, whether it's
Matter.
Yeah, Blues Lives Matter, the Tucker Carlson like Newsmax host, anybody who's using fear as a way to control. Gary plays that role and sells you something, yes, in the movie. And like his sketch, capabilities in that world, he's perfectly suited for it. For again, it's not a stunt casting. He came on board Casually Cool to produce that. He was gonna be in Truly Trudy as multiple roles. It just turned out that when this pivoted to Run, we were just like, okay, this is what this project is. This is what we think you would be good at. Are you still on board? And he was just like, this sounds amazing. He's like, this is great.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I hope we can get the money. So like him and I are going to be doing local news this week. He's going to be remote and from Vermont, but like we're getting press. I'm hoping the last 11 days shows the tide shifting of just being like, okay, if you want to see this original thing, you can pre-order a screener link. Regardless of what the distribution is, you can get a double disc Blu-ray of this and Casually Cool with things that aren't going to be on it. Whether like Troma is still working on a Sweetmeats Blu-ray that should be announced soon that will have things that we didn't put on our Indiegogo.
Oh, okay.
But so like Scene Spark, that double disc Blu-ray, you get a comedy mystery thriller in Casually Cool, and then you get Run, which everything we've talked about, and special features. A Nick Hines commentary.
He's only wearing
going to show up for that one?
Yeah, he will. He will show up for that one. Because I will make him contractually obligated.
He's just like, just when you got a free 90 minutes, go ahead and
look. I just walked Benson. I'm grabbing a beer.
You can put it on screen. You can get a signed copy of the scripts. Like you can get. I think we're doing tickets for the premiere. Like all of that stuff. Like it's not like you're putting your money into a thing that may or may not happen. Like this is like it be a part of why Backrooms has done so well, why Obsession has done so well. These are new ideas. These are new creative ideas from independent artists, and they're focusing on character and plot and heart of film. It's not kills per second anymore, man. This is not Halloween 2006 anymore. Like we're trying to make something that means something. And we need your help to do it.
And I hear that because you had Mandalorian and Grogu in back rooms, and I saw both of them. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Empire Strikes Back, my number one film of all time. And I'm watching Mandalorian and Grogu, and I'm like, there is no character development of any kind in this movie. Now, there's a lot of action going on, but I'm not attached to anything that's happening here. And then I look at back rooms, and it's just people wandering around a hallway for 90 minutes to an hour, but we're still developing the characters as we're going, and there's still mystery, and I'm still like,
well, you're
the
talking
thinnest
about
thing I've ever watched, but yet for some reason I want to know what the hell's around that next corner.
It's why it's a film is still a spectacle and a thing to see, because what we're talking about, why we are first, I think for me, attached to it, and I think Hunter is, and I think Gage to a degree is the play, right? It's theater. At first, like with theater, everything else is imagination except for the characters and the actors that are presenting the story and the conflicts that they're having.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have that and then you put it on film and you do some camera tricks, you do some magic, and you manipulate the audience into whatever feeling they want to be in, you are still bought in first by, like Backrooms, by those characters. And then the setting is this viral thing with these weird rooms. Obsession is the same way, though. Like, it's a monkey paw, right? They did, like, everybody bitches about horror movies with the origin story. We're like, we don't need to see Batman's parents get killed anymore. I mean, some people are just like, I just need to see Batman's parents get killed just one more time.
Drop those pearls again.
Yeah, drop those pearls, baby. Ooh, did they see Zorro? Ooh, did they make it contemporary? Yeah.
But to your point, like watching Obsession, like there are scenes in that movie.
It's a monkey paw.
Well, but there are
But like
scenes
you
in
get
that
it.
movie where I was like, holy shit, I've been in this conversation before.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Don't spoil anything.
Yeah.
They all die.
Well, not everybody, but they have that. But it's that thing of just like, it's that idea that like what is happening on screen and the relationships between the characters is what matters the most, and it's the horror that takes place behind them. You know, so like that dinner scene, if you've seen the movie, where she just fucking loses it. I was just like, I have sat in that chair and have watched somebody do this exact thing, but she wasn't possessed or, you know, being taken over, whatever. She wasn't the wish Nikki, but like, I know what this feels like. Like,
even if that's an exaggeration of just like when you're telling people later, right? It's the next story, right? It's
trying to connect with the audience with like, and I get that like, oh, this is elevated horror. It's like, no, man, this is real life. Like, that's one of the reasons why Candyman, the remake, the requel was so good. It was just like, this shit is still happening.
Yeah.
This movie came out 40 years ago. This shit is still happening. And that's one of the reasons why I love the genre of horror to begin with, is because, and this, I think Ricky and I can agree to this. I'm going to speak for you, Ricky, and Gage. I'm speaking for you too. And Nick Hines, if you're listening, I'm speaking for you.
I already disagree. I don't know where it's going, but I disagree.
Hyatt's is disagreeing silently somewhere.
The genre of horror is the only genre of film that really takes a look at society and the everyday life and really puts a point on it. You know, like with
okay, I do agree.
Back it.
But like, you're not going to get that out of a rom-com. You're not going to get that out of a sci-fi film. Maybe, I mean, not an action film, but it's like the reason why people love and hate horror is because it's an ugly mirror right to your face to show you like, these are the things that you deal with on an everyday basis and you just avoid them because it's just the shitty parts of life. And we're just amping it up a bit, you know? Like,
and the hard bit that we have, like we said, we've talked about movies before of our previous, like Casually Cool and Sweetmeats. The one thing that it's currently in post-production being edited by Timmy Barron is both of those movies, they have messages, right? But they aren't like hit you over the fucking head of like what we want you to take from it. We're just using it as part of the story. So like Casually Cool, with all of the private detective stuff that is popping, like within the next year, you got Sunset PI by Akiva Schaffer and Jack Johnson.
Back again. Rockford
Files.
Yeah, Rockford Files is back.
Murder, She Wrote with Jamie
As soon
Lee
as Rockford
Curtis.
Files came back, I heard that was like, you guys were just talking about that being, part of your inspiration. And we're like, I'm surprised that hasn't been rebooted, and here we are.
RJ.
Now we're doing Run, and you have a Friday the 13th right around the corner. There's a huge horror resurgence right now, specifically in
Behind the Mask Part 2, or
allegedly.
Man with the Axe, Man in the Woods with the Axe. Is that the name of it? By Brandon Devon. We've contacted each other because we got pulled together because someone's like, "Hey man, you're making a semi-meta, but not like aware meta horror movie about a slasher killer. So's this guy. You guys maybe should connect." And it turns out we were on a podcast of the production company that
Gage.
they made.
He's like, yo, we literally did a podcast.
He's like, we just did the podcast. He's like, do we need to check that, make sure that like they didn't put in a movie into production after we did a podcast talking about our upcoming movie? And no, it's vastly different. But like, that's what I love about the internet is I would never contact this other filmmaker to talk about it. And he was just like, oh, FYI, this is what our movie actually is. And this is what I'm doing as propaganda for marketing. And I was like, oh, I love it. Like, yes. I was like, when both of us announce what these movies are and like we have something to show, we should be on the same dais. Like a Robert Rodriguez or a Tarantino be like, what are our movies saying about this genre and about us currently? Like, that to me is what's fascinating. But it's not, again, Run is not that, like, if you read the script, it's just like, oh, yeah, it's big time wrestling.
Well, and that's again, like another thing that me and Ricky, so I'll speak for Gage and for Nick Hines on this one as well. But like we make entertainment.
I think I'm going to play the role of Nick today.
You'll lose yourself in the role. Don't do it. It's a Joker situation. You can't do it.
Never mind. I don't need that. I'm sorry for interrupting, Eric. Go ahead.
Just like Nicholas Hines, always interrupting.
No.
Like we're making entertainment. Like we're having fun. We're wanting to see things that we want to see on a screen. That's always been a big thing with us. Where it's like, if we're going to make a movie, we want to make a movie that we would want to see. And that has been a big driving force for us. And I think that's another reason why we kind of stay away from reboots and requels and IP and stuff. It's just like, man, we've seen all that stuff. We've seen it 1,000 times. We've seen the best. We've seen the worst. We've seen everything in between. We want to see something new. And that's what we're constantly trying to push, is to see something new.
That makes sense. And here, because when I started getting involved with these films, I was doing the original ones and actually jumped over to IPs just because I was getting... Nobody was seeing the ones that I was doing. I was like, well, maybe if I do a couple of these IP ones, somebody will see it just because they'll know the name.
Yeah.
And that is working, I guess, because people are talking about them a lot more than they were the other ones. But at the same time, yeah, you're right. I mean, we went online. John found there was like over 60 Amityville movies listed. Yeah. And we're like, holy crap.
SRS, who released All Your Friends Are Dead. They are the main component of providing those Amityville toilet, Amityville house, Amityville, 1776, Amityville Hamilton, like whatever.
Yeah.
Amityville.
It was like a pool toy massacre or something. Yeah.
Oh, so, it's, oh my God. Another actor from our Public House days who was in one of our original musicals, Babysitter Massacre 78, the musical. Megan Renner was in Killer Pinata 2.
Gross.
And like her and I have not talked in a while, and like she had not come across my Instagram feed, and then I saw this clip for Killer Pinata 2 because I am in that world. Like that does come across my feed. I was just like, oh shit, that's Megan Renner. And I sent her a message. I was just like, so you're back in the horror genre, are you?
So have you ever considered maybe altering the name for this movie to like maybe Run from Amityville or Run from the three-headed shark with a meat hook? Yeah. I mean, that might help you with the budget concerns, crowdfunding.
I think we're missing tits. Whatever. I think tits is the thing that we're missing.
I was gonna say our most viewed episode features none on none action. So all of a sudden that just blew up that episode.
Is that Sister Beretta? The
Sister
other crowdfunding?
Beretta.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jessa Flux, or Jessa, whatever she is being credited as, she
Jessa Jupiter
is
Flux.
Yeah, she is a fantastic comedic actress that I had seen being popped up in these crowdfunding. Get a buxom, whether it's Murder Size or these other, feels like Skinamax straight to video, like these movies that are currently being made that feel like those secret movies that when we were kids are just like, have you seen this? It's just like,
get the unrated version.
yeah, right. Oh, and like Embrace of a Vampire with like Alyssa Milano, like things like that. Like she was, but Jessa being in Troma movies, she was in Curse of the Werewolf, and she plays that role to which she is hired for a lot, which is to be naked and be buxom, which she is. But then she was...
Wait, what was the name of this movie again?
Curse of the Werewolf, made by Ben Johnson, who, when we were talked about Sweetmeats touring with another new Troma movie, it was that movie, and Heinz and I were just like, yes, we would love to. Our movie has to play first. If their movie plays before ours, like, it's so, like, next level of just, like, it shows you everything it thinks, which Jessa fulfills that. But she was so fucking funny in it in a different way that I was just like, oh, huh. Oh, okay. You are very in the world of satire, knowing what is expected of you and what you can play. And then I got to meet her at Troma Dance and Horror Hound at the Troma table and at the Troma event. And just like talking to her, I was just like, I was like, everything Troma. Troma Now app free for the first month. Watch Sweetmeats. It's still apparently the first movie listed. That's the best way to. That's the best way to sound and visual is how they have it. Which that will be the copy that they sell on the Blu-ray. That's my shill for Troma. But anyway, meeting Jessa, it was just like, oh, you are aware of the character you're playing, almost to like a Jim Varney, Ernest, Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Way. Mm-hmm. And her and I talked about Run, and unfortunately, we're just still at the point of like, we are still having some people come from out of town, like Andrew Thorpe, who we've worked with before from Chicago, Gary Kroger, who's coming in from one day from Vermont, Giovanni Freza, who's coming in for one day from Chicago. We have like Timmy Hart Barron, who's coming in from Southern Kentucky or Western Southern Kentucky. Owensboro, yeah, he does. Yeah, he doesn't like it being called Southern Kentucky, even though it's Southern from us.
His cousin, he's not wearing shoes. I get it, man.
It's a Kentucky thing. Yeah, I get it.
Bing, 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 bing.
Yes, 100%. But like he's coming up, so like we got his wife Tara, who's in it, who's playing our like American Mary kind of trope, plays his like supervisor at hack and slash offices.
Super abusive and
like no boundaries.
Yeah.
So do you guys know Audition, the Japanese film Audition?
Yes. No, okay. I do not.
Never.
Timmy's wife plays that stereotype or that archetype of a character who is just degrading of men. So like basically degrading of men who like get off to horror films. Ultimately, she gets to be to us. She gets to be that to her own husband. But like, so they're coming up like these people that we have worked with before, and like it's kind of like summer camp for the few days that they're in town that we get to hang out and like get tired and be goofy. Jessa is one of those people who we've just not gotten to the point yet to be like, yeah, we can afford, not that she's an exorbitant, like that we have the luxury to invite someone new. Mm-hmm. So like
going to our Seed and Spark campaign.
Yeah, I mean, if you want
anything over 15.5, we'll go wherever else we need it to go.
We can't even afford to get her on the podcast, so we tried. It didn't work.
I mean,
And I worked with her once, so yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
You guys, you played an FBI agent with her?
No. I played her and I played teachers at a school.
Okay.
The movie has not come out. The scene, the director let me release the scene because everything got delayed by a year or so. And he said, you know, go ahead, you can do whatever you want with it. But she and
Sorry.
but she and I are in this scene,
Yeah.
and I'm super tired because we had done stuff all day long.
And she's nerdy. Like, she's a little bit more dowdy looking with like glasses.
Yeah. And then, but she was so nice because I started forgetting my lines. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to fuck up in front of, a scream queen here. I'm like, no, this is not good. And then I start getting a little panicked. I'm like, okay, come on. And she's like, it's okay. And gave me a hug. He's like, it's, you're fine. I'm like, wow. She could have just
But
turned
if
around
it
and then
didn't
maybe she
sound-
left
yeah.
later and said, what a fucking idiot.
No.
But to me, she was so nice. And
If
I
it
was
didn't
so
sound like
appreciative of that.
if it didn't sound like a compliment, her wanting to work with us and us wanting to work with her is a mutual respect that again, that goes with like the game sees game, and her having that extra level of awareness in this world, in this community, in this scene. You just referred to her as a scream queen. She 100% is. She is like this day and age's Brink Stevens. Like, people are fans of hers and are just like, I can tell you her last 10 IMDb credits.
Well, that's the thing. When I got in, the role, I'm like, I'm in, I'm like, okay, I'm working with her, and I had no idea the depth of her career at that point. And then since then, damn near everything I look at, it's got her name in it, and I'm like, holy! I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't know if this happened or not. But I was working on a film called Circus Satanicus, which unfortunately went nowhere. The director passed away as we were trying to shoot the film. But
Did you guys Weekend at Bernie's it? Did you guys they're just like, he's still with us?
no, we wanted to. No. It was a really weird chain of events that happened. It was really, really unfortunate. And since then, the film has been ripped off and a bunch of things have happened. But regardless, I know that she was up for one of the female clowns. And she didn't get the role. And I was kind of surprised she didn't get the role because her name was so big. I'm like, well, I just figured he was going to give it to her. And it seems like within a day or two, she was on her Facebook talking about she was going to go to a clown school. And I'm like, if this is related to this,
I'm sure it was.
this is the biggest sign of commitment I've ever seen. Cause she's like, okay, I didn't get a clown gig.
Yep.
I'm going to damn well make sure I get the next one. And I don't know for a fact that they're connected, but the timing of it was obscure. And she's still there. I think she's going back.
Well, and
but
not
she is-
saying that like she's going for this, but and not to be like, oh, there's something more behind the shape or the body or whatever. Is like she has an awareness of like a Cassandra Peterson, like Elvira, of what her worth is and what she brings, and to what the role or kind of the position is wanting. Which is awesome for a director. We, on our film, from Sweetmeats to not and Casually Cool, but for Run, with it being horror adjacent again, I have actually a classmate of Eric Hunter and I's, who was a year below us, who did theater, Jessica Picado, who has an OnlyFans at Fitness Model Mama. And has Instagram and Patreon, like all the things, Fansly or whatever. And she was in the promo video we did for Sweetmeats to basically sell that movie on Indiegogo. And then she was one of the cheerleaders. She's the blonde cheerleader in Sweetmeats. We were in the musical Crazy for You, our high school year, where I played an old man and she played my old lady wife, like our interest at the end. And now she is kind of this sex icon on social media. But again, with her reconnecting, it was just like, oh, this is what we're going for. And
Just
she's,
hanging out again in high school again.
yeah,
we're
well, and she's
having
just like, yeah, and
Yeah.
she's just like, yeah, I get what you're going for because I understand the world of giving your audience what they want, but also making it specific.
That's how
And
we
so
met
there's
his OnlyFans.
through Gage's all there. Shh, take off your shirt, Gage.
Yeah.
Take off your shirt.
I offered to go topless, but it just didn't sell the
those
same,
tootsies.
so I don't know.
We haven't had anything for the ladies yet, so just go ahead.
We'll just wait until Run.
But we got the guys
a
coming in
lot.
for our nun
Too much.
interview.
Gratuitous.
Well, I mean,
It's like
Gage,
Watchmen, but not blue.
Gage has been part of that though. Of like we have our stable of people that we've talked about who are returning or that I've worked with before or who have been through like Eric and I through high school, like high ants or even first grade. But Gage, when coming forward with this project and us shaping it, was just like, well, remember that like crossover in horror where there was like wrestling and horror and like kind of where we're talking about in this era where the movie kind of primarily sits in this alternative like 2005 2006 era. He's like, this is when wrestlers were really like apparent in horror movies and it just wasn't stuntmen. It was like kind of like how famous people are animated voices now. Like there's no reason why Donald Glover is Yoshi. Like there would be a wrestler like it would be was it Goldberg in Santa Slay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pain and See No Evil.
Pain
or-
and See No Evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glenn
So
Jacobs,
like
sorry. Glenn
Need
Jacobs.
this guy? It's just like,
yeah,
why
you
get
have
a-
you have WWF or WWE like produced horror movies.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I'm connected. You wrestle, right,
You
Gage?
go back even further to They Live and the Roddy Piper. Like, that's
yeah,
one of my all-time favorite movies. And one of the reasons I like that movie so much is because there's a straight up wrestling scene at the top of the third act. Like, there's an Irish whip, and like he suplexes the dude into a car and shit. I'm just like, fuck yes, there we go. Now we're talking. Rey Mysterio over there. But it is that idea of just like these things go together, like they kind of go hand in hand. And with Run, like we're going through the ages, we can't skip these things over. Like we mentioned Ubol, and it's just like, yeah, man, like Postal was a big deal. Like House of the Dead was kind of a big deal because it's an era, it's a section of the horror genre that, like it or not, because you could throw that in there with your Hostel and all your horror shit.
High saw House of the Dead because it was a video game adaptation. Which did you guys not go see it together? Because he saw it at Great Escape.
Oh, I mean, we had a mandate.
You don't remember? Wait, did you see it at Great Escape together?
I mean, it is. I think this is something we should talk about.
Well, but like, so I remember asking Heinz, I was like, well, how was it? Like, how was House of the, because I didn't know the video game. He's just like, man, what a good popcorn flick.
Oh,
He's like, I couldn't tell you like one thing about it, but just like, what a roller coaster. Yeah.
But I do know there's actual video game video in the movie, which is odd. But it's all that same stuff. Like that's what Run is, what we're trying to do with Run. Like we're trying to not only tell the story of this aging person who is at the top of their game, the Michael Jordan, the Rocky of what they were so good at, but we're also trying to take a look at just like how things have changed throughout time from the 70s to the 80s and 90s, specifically with horror and the genre. But then again, that capitalization of it, that corporatization of just like, there's a reason why there's a Platinum Dunes movie of Friday the 13th. And I'll tell you right now, it's not because somebody had a great idea for a Friday the 13th film. It was because this copyright's about to go up and we are obligated contractually to do a thing. So let's give it.
We saw what happened in real time, what happens with the video game in that franchise when another movie didn't happen, which is the 13th movie. It feels like the ultimate cucking, like edging of a franchise. It's just like, what, they stop at 12? Fucking stop at 12? You're going to do a TV series?
They're supposed to be Friday the 13th, the 13th. What the hell?
Like, do it. But like, but it's, Eric, out of all the Friday the 13th, what do you think is the best movie?
Oh, I mean, the first one.
No, you're high. You told me when you watched the Platinum Dunes, you're like, honestly, this is probably the best. You're like, this is because it condenses 1 through 4.
Well,
Yeah.
But not the
But no, that franchise is built on everything we're talking about, right?
Yes.
So in our movie, the hack and slash.
Carrie. Let's bring in a Carrie character.
Yeah.
Perfect. Can't get Carrie, but we'll do Carrie-like things. All right.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. Well, what's everybody else doing? We're going to space.
Yeah.
We're going to space. And you know what?
That is
Why
Run
not?
10 is going to be in space.
That's the beauty of this.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, Gage. What's the Run and the Run sequels? Do all the ones that
Okay.
you remember that we've talked
All
about.
that I can remember? Okay,
Yeah.
so Run is obviously the first one.
Yeah.
Run to the Hills, or is it Run for the Hills?
4 should
Run
be
for the
fourth
hills.
Okay,
I thought
Run
it was.
For the hill should be 4.
I thought two was
Run
Run
is
and Hide. Yeah.
Run and Hide is Run 2. Run 3 is called Rerun, with the E being a 3, and that's a time travel flick. Run for the Hills, obviously. Run
nice.
5 to Furious, I guess. Run 6, I don't know. Run 666 Amityville, that's the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, Damien.
Run 07, it's a spy flick.
Okay.
It's the more puns we can come up with, we're going to do all those.
So much fun.
I like it. It's like 22 Jump Street ending.
Yes.
So they went through and had all the ones. And they just announced they're doing 24 Jump Street.
Because it's been so long between 22 and
Yeah, that they had to skip
23's
one.
been skipped. But I love that. Like the
too.
idea that we can have Nicolas Cage on Amazon because of weird rights things, and they're just like, fuck, man. Like, what a good day to be a fan. Like, I wish Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah, I also am not a Star Wars. I found out that I'm a fan of the first 3 Star Wars movies. That's my level of fandom.
Yeah.
And then I like to hate the prequels and the Phantom edits. Like,
The Lego Star Wars throws in there too.
Yeah.
Love Lego Star Wars.
well, and like Holiday Special and just like some little other like Robot Chicken Star Wars, different things, Family Guy Star Wars. But like they all center around the OG trilogy. That's kind of
That's it.
How-
That's why
I-
nobody makes parodies of the prequels or the sequels because
parodies
you don't
of-
have that feel. You have to have something that everybody can get behind, and the only ones that you can do that with are the originals.
John Carpenter and Wes Craven, whether you, like whatever you consider them in the pantheons of horror, or that next next Universal monsters, like the next thing that you're at, they were building off of the commercial success of Texas Chainsaw. And also Hitchcock and the influence, in the 70s, the film brats have their love of the big Westerns. They're all making their version of The Searchers, like, De Palma, Spielberg. But so with horror, I think Carpenter and Craven were looking to make money making films. I mean, Craven's first feature is Last House on the Left with Sean S. Cunningham, who ends up making Friday the 13th purely for marketing and money. Like, it wasn't like, I got this story to tell. He buys the Variety ad that says Friday the 13th before having the script.
Yeah.
And like, he sells the movie just on the, holy shit, it would be great to have a movie produced by Paramount called Friday the 13th. You know why? Because they own the title, because it's like a 1952 movie that's about like superstition. It's the only fucking reason that movie gets made. Camp Blood, he takes the script from Victor Miller and he says, cool. I'm not going to pay you any more than the $20,000 that I paid you for the script. You will never make another dime. And that is the horror franchise. Like, even Craven's doing it with Last House on the Left. Craven's doing it again with Hills Have Eyes, right? Like, you just watched this, Hunter. Like, what did that feel like? Didn't that feel like his version of like a
was a pretty
like? But it's like Home Alone meets Texas Chainsaw.
Oh yeah, like it definitely was a finger to the pulse. What is popular right now? How can I mix these things together? But again, like, he still took time, I felt like, to create good characters. And
Yeah, the
plot
family.
development. And like,
Yeah.
there's still heart there, and it's like, and I think that really just goes to like how just good of an artist he is. Like, he just gets it.
And what's the Carpenter TV movie that you watched? It's
it's very much just like
it's prototype Halloween.
Halloween. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a figure who's watching a woman from across the way.
And like Carpenter from Kentucky gets the job from Mustafa Akkad. And I mean, Assault on Precinct 13 is fantastic, but like he says to him, Mustafa Akkad, he's like, I just did this TV movie last year about these babysitters and this murderer in like this small town. And Mustafa, who's like producing movies for millions of dollars overseas, he's just like, well, what's big? Horror movies. How cheap can you make me a horror movie? And Carpenter's like $350,000. And Mustafa Akkad's like, okay, let's see what you come up with. And then it's the babysitter murders, which then, thank God for Deborah Hill and the dimension that she adds to those characters. Yeah. That's why Halloween, like the dialogue for the girls is so like, they're so shitty to Laurie. Yeah. And like, you still are rooting for Laurie. You're just like, oh, like, I don't want her to die, but they weren't right. Like, they didn't know the rules because Carpenter's making basically a sequel to Black Christmas, which is what he wanted to do. Bob Clark, he contacted him. He's like, can I make it called Black Halloween? And Bob Clark's like, no, like, I don't want to do that. I'm about ready to do Porky's or whatever. Yeah, right. Bob Clark is a fantastic filmmaker. I mean, him and Carpenter they are genre filmmakers. I think Bob Clark's last movie was a Karate Kid dog movie with Pat Morita, where Pat Morita is like a sensei to a karate dog.
What?
Oh man, that dude's got a.
It's not Hong Kong Phooey.
Bob Clark's got an awesome filmography. But so anyway, so like Carpenter again is going, I want to get work. And so I'm like Hitchcock doing Psycho. He uses his TV crew. Horror is about the ideas, and sometimes it's about the blemishes. It's about the rough edges, which we're talking about this grandiose idea, which everybody that approaches me, they're just like, there's no way you're going to execute what you're talking about with $15,500.
Says who? Give us the money. I'll show you.
Exactly. And it's not going to be like, it's not going to be this overblown thing, but it's like, okay, well, like the Lonely Island guys with Popstar, even though that's a multi-million-dollar movie, they made this big scope movie using their skills as sketch and music artists and comedic artists. So like, we're kind of doing the same thing. We're going back to everything we learned with All Your Friends Are Dead and Sweetmeats and Casually Cool and just mushing them together for Run.
Well, in horror too, horror is like the place for low budget. I mean, Paranormal Activity, I think the initial version of it was like $900 to make. Like he made it himself in his house with two people, and then Paramount obviously bought it and funded it. But like, you can do a lot with a little in horror if you do it right, I guess.
And I think sometimes that's better because it seems like once you start throwing money at people, it loses its tone, and the sequels are never as good as the original. And you're like, you know what? You should have just stayed with the $900 frickin' dollars and kept going making these movies instead of I went from 900 to 10 million, and now I just released a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So
when we get to 10 million, let me tell you, Run 8 is going to be. We're getting Jessa Flux. We're getting Jessa Flux, and she is going to fight Monica Keena. Freddy versus Jason.
Run 8 is enough.
You ready? Yeah, Run 8 is enough.
No, man, dude, it's going to be, I tell you what, it's going to be B movie Scream Queens. It's going to be Linnea Quigley. It's going to be Brink Stevens. It's going to be Barbara Crampton. It's going to be then like Jessa Flux. It's going to be like, that's the movie is he has to kill all of them in a Knives Out like fashion. He has to. Yeah. Well, I mean, also, that's honestly what Run 2 is like Eric was saying of like the genre movies that we're trying to create entertainment. We know what we want to make after this movie, and it's not a sequel to Run. We don't know if that's what we're going to make, but like what we want to make after this is our version of a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
That'd be
That's
So
all you're going to say, Ricky. That's all
No,
you're
but
going
I'm
to say.
just saying, like-
yeah, don't let anybody steal it.
but no, yeah, no, they're going to be it's like worrying about like what's in this. If you're a middle-aged white guy, like everybody's having the same ideas. Like everybody's thinking about their dads or their childhoods or whatever. So
Death is coming.
death, yeah, mortality. But like with Run, it's all of the things that we're saying, but kind of none of it is said except for contextually just to make sure that you understand the rules of the world. And so like again, I lean on Elm Street to be like, man, when Tina has that opening dream, they have one buy-in. That if you have dreams about this dude, we learn more, but if you have dreams about this dude, and if he does something to you to cause you harm, you wake up with the effects. That happens in the first fucking 10 minutes. And it's just like, all right, those are the rules of the world. This movie can only break their own rules. They can only add more hats to the rule, which dilute and diminish the rule. That's why Elm Street works. Is they give you the rule, and then they say, in the world of nightmares and dreams, anything's possible. Which is amazing about the Elm Street movies because they're low budget movies. It's like anything's possible, but like with practical effects, and like we don't have the technology yet to really make like if you read Bruce Wagner and Wes Craven, you can read their script basically in the novelization of Elm Street 3. It is the New Mutants. It is X-Men like First Class, the Dream Warriors. Yeah, like Kincaid's flying around and like they all have mutant powers in the dreams. But then when New Line, when Bob Shea got the script, which they were just like, we need to market off of you, Wes, come back. You have to write this in some way. After 2, we need to make this cash cow still producing milk. Him and Bruce Wagner, which theory is he let Bruce write a lot of it. Wes came up with the Catholic, like Freddy stuff and the Son of 100 Maniacs. And then Bruce came up with like all the fantastical stuff. They turned it in, and Chuck Russell was going to direct it with Frank Darabont. And they're just like, well, we can't do this. What can we do? And if you hear about that film shoot, man, those actors were fucking pushed to their limits to get that. We are kind of in that same boat that like, but we have the luxury of that summer camp mentality of like Lizzie Shrebus and her dad, Steve, who run the USS Nightmare, who Lizzie's been in makeup school and special effects school in Orlando since we did Casually Cool. So she's been working on throat slits. She did a mold of the Jeepers Creepers dude mask, and she like got it signed by him, and he fawned over it. She's coming
So
back
talented.
to lead.
Insanely talented.
She's leading the special effects with all this knowledge. She's been working with us since our short film Call. She was 12, I think, on that. And now she's leading the special effects makeup team for second movie in a row. Her first 4.
Wow. I gotta Gage, you're the youngest one in the group, correct?
Correct.
How old are what year were you born?
I'm 30. I was born in 95.
Okay. All right. Because this is something that I've been interested in. And since I've got the perfect person here for a film like Friday the 13th, which when you're old enough to say, okay, I want to watch Friday the 13th, there is a slew of Friday the 13th. And the only reason I bring this up is because somebody mentioned it earlier about how they're already there to be binge watched. You don't have to watch them a year apart. But what is the feeling?
A year apart. I love that. Previously on, right? Rocky movies.
Yeah.
The end of the last match, Phantasm. That's why I fucking love it. The end of the last movie, and now we're gonna pick up the actors. The wigs are weird, and like the costume, someone like, or it's a different actor. Like, yeah,
exactly. But for somebody who was born in 1995, so it's be 2000 or so before you're watching these films. All of these films, whether it's Friday the 13th, Halloween, Police Academy, Star Wars, anything, in order to watch a new movie at the theater, you have to go back and watch a handful of other films to get to that point. Does that make you go back and watch them? Do you say, screw what happened before, I'm just going to watch what's out now? Or do you not watch a lot of films because of the fact that there's so many films you have to catch up on to get to this current status? And I just wondered if that has any way impacting Hollywood of today. Because I'll talk to kids, I used to work with a whole bunch of young people, and I talk to them, and they're like, I haven't seen that, I haven't seen that, I haven't seen that. And I just wondered if it is because of the fact that they have to watch so many prequels to get to the current film.
That is really
Thoughts?
interesting question. No, super interesting question. I think for me, like there already was a wave of like remakes whenever I was young, because you had the Friday the 13th that I think was in what, 06 or something, 08 maybe.
Oh,
When was the
9,
last
I
one?
think.
Whenever
I think the Friday
09?
the 13th, I think it was 09. I'm not positive.
Yeah, so there was that. There was the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Like there were a lot of remakes back then too, like in my early teens, I guess. But the like, yeah, whenever I was a kid, and I think, you know what, this is actually a really interesting point. I think that right now, people younger than me, there's just so much to watch that you don't grow up watching DVDs and VHS tapes. You're watching new stuff. So whenever I was growing up, like if even as a young kid, you go to a sleepover, you guys are going to watch Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street from the 80s, from the 70s, 80s. Like you're watching those older movies. Now people that are like, I'd say 25 and under, like, they didn't have that experience. So they don't know, like us. I know so many people, younger than me who have like never seen Star Wars, never seen Indiana Jones, never seen Friday, like never seen any of these classics, but it's because they've had access to everything. And so there's just way too much to watch. You don't have to watch the same thing that your parents or older brother or older sister did. So I think that is an interesting point. For me personally, like I said, I kind of grew up in a time where there were those remakes, and I also grew up before those even came out watching the originals, because that was just the thing to do. And that's also an interesting point. Like in horror now, there isn't really those like iconic figures like there are from the 70s and 80s. You don't have Art the Clown's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. Other than that, there's really nobody. And that's just odd. But horror also does change and evolve. You had in the 50s and 60s, it's like zombies, and then 70s, 80s, slashers, 90s, it gets a little bit more paranormal. And then, you kind of cycle through those. And we've kind of been in a horror slump, but I think I genuinely, like Backrooms and Obsession, I've not seen either one, but they both made so much money, and there's so many horror projects coming up. I think that we're right on the edge of another like horror boom, which is awesome. It's really cool to see. And I hope people go back and watch the originals whenever the remake of Friday the 13th comes out, the series comes out. I hope people watch the originals because they're great.
That's one of the reasons, John and I have talked about it, because we're hesitant every time somebody wants to remake a film, but it also always revitalizes the originals. And I'm like, well, if anything else, hopefully it's getting people in to see the originals. But yeah, it's just, and when we were young, I mean, we only had 3 or 4 TV channels, so we watched repeats of whatever was on TV. If it was on HBO, we saw it a dozen times. So a lot of those movies we saw again and again. And yeah, DVD and VHS. Now, even me, I've got Apple, Paramount, Peacock, Prime.
Yep.
And you can't keep up with all the new stuff. So I do not go back and watch movies that I used to watch religiously probably every 6 months. I would watch the same movies over and over again. And now it'll be years before I go back because I'm too busy to say, oh, now there's a new season of Squid Game. Oh, now there's a new season of, and it just seems like that's also a challenge, compounded with the fact, because another thing we looked up was we had talked to Troy Escamilla from the Houston Horror Film Festival, and he said that he had to watch over 300 films to pick the 60 that were going to make it into the film festival, which means, and those are just the ones that were submitted. So there's a new horror movie coming out on average every single day. And if you want to see all those, it's just, so I credit you guys because it's got to be, one, it's cool because everyone, if you want to make a movie, you now have the opportunity to make a movie. You can get it done.
Yeah, but you're talking about getting through that threshold in your own gatekeeping with your own borders and like permutations that you like self-impose. Getting through that is such, it does seem like, oh, look at all the resources you have to do this. Yes, there is a lot of content. There is a lot of stuff. Getting through that first hurdle is huge. We've talked about what is the forest for the trees, like how do we get the eyes and ears on this when it gets made. We talk about the stages of just like, this is the hardship of this stage of getting the money, right? Getting the validation to make this thing, this idea, which we are rich in, I think, validation right now, or I feel that way, just not in funds. But we also have talked about like, when we're done, what do we think this looks like? And we can talk about it, and I think we're all pretty pragmatic with our own anxieties or like fantasias of just like, oh, what could this be? Well, right now it seems like we're talking about Casually Cool. Well, let's festival it a little bit, be selective, and then let's four-wall. We have with Troma, one of the things we got was a connection to a lot of non-chain theaters. So I like that live theater aspect, and I think that is something that we fit well into, like with the boutique of like Kevin Smith taking his films around, or Broken Lizard. Like, it's an event. Like, if a few of us who have no problem talking, and hopefully entertainingly a little bit, if you want to come see a murder mystery comedy movie, if you want to see like, I remember opening night, I saw Freddy vs. Jason twice on opening night. I went with my brother Eric and my dad at 3:30 right after school at Wilder Great Escape. And we watched it, and I was just like, holy shit. I was like, there's a lot of references I loved. like being an Elm Street fan, I was like, I think that's a Freddy movie. I think Jason kind of was like purposely like, yeah, but that was great. Like, Ronnie Yu talks about that in his grasp of English, but also in pop culture, where he's just like, I understood how to play each one of these characters. Honestly, I think Gage, that was your like wheelhouse, right? You probably saw that. You were 9? Did you see it at 9?
Such a baby.
I don't remember seeing it in theater, but I watched it a ton on DVD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that movie.
But that movie was an event. So like, I saw it with my brother and my dad, and then that night I went back with, I think, like Jason Dill, maybe Hyance, maybe Danny Johns. I don't think you were there, Hunter, but like a collection of friends, like the movie group that we would go with. You weren't invited. I was pissed. I was so angry. You didn't tell me I looked nice that day. I didn't give you that invite.
Well, I think what the point you're trying to make is just like, people they're looking at TV and movies as a passing fad. Like, it's something to put on the background while you're looking at your phone. Whereas like to us, like, no, this is our time to actually sit down and stay in a quiet space and experience something, and I hope that we're on the precipice of more of that. I hope that, that the whole idea of the theaters are dying and that nobody's going to the movies anymore. It's just like, you guys aren't making any good movies anymore. Like,
I tell you what, I went and saw Scary Movie 6.
I got to tell you,
in Florida.
For the first time since COVID, the last month felt like there's been a shift, because my wife and I would go to a movie and we're like, why is there nobody here? Why is there nobody here? Even Grogu, there was nobody in. And then all of a sudden, every single movie we've seen, Scary Movie 6, The Backrooms, Disclosure Day, that one I was worried about. Yeah. Like, are people tired of Spielberg UFO movies? And it was packed. And I'm like, okay, it wasn't sold out, but now there's also a lot more screens that have the films as opposed to the old days. But it was the first month in 6 years that I felt something's going on. And I think maybe people finally realizing how fun it is to laugh at the same time, and Shudder at the same time, and Scream at the same time, and is it finally turning back around? And maybe it's a little immature or premature because it's only been a month, but it was just weird because it was week after week for 4 weeks. It's like something happened, and I don't know what it was.
There's going to be a shift in the release schedule. Classically, April used to be March and April used to be a dumping ground. So it's like post award season. Like if you're looking at like the weird business side of it, Hunter, the Matt Damon DVD, is it Hot Ones interview where he talks about like how the business has changed because of DVD sales. So like even as an actor, that insight.
It's it's real quick clip, but basically he was just like, you can't make movies like Good Will Hunting anymore because the second that you look at a budget, $10 million, the production house is going to come in and say that's a $20 million film because we have to advertise $10 million to get it in front of people. Whereas back then it was no big deal because you had DVD, you had VHS, you had Blu-ray. Now
you had Robin Williams
on the dollar. You can't get people excited about these projects anymore because they're not going to have, again, it's the capitalization, it's the consumerization of all this shit. And it's just like what you were saying, like, oh, this month, unfortunately, it probably is premature, but it's just like, man, yeah, like movies are back again. And it's like, but why? It's like, you can't tell me that people
for the same fucking reason that they were in the 80s, in the 70s. We're talking about horror. We're talking about low budgets. Relatively, like between Backrooms and Obsession, there is a big gap, which it's not a gripe of mine. It's just, there's no declarative like word to really describe us trying to make something for between $15,500 and $25,000 and Obsession that was made for $800,000. Or Backrooms that was made for like $5 million. They're all low budget movies, and it's just like,
well, now that because the studios have started to announce that they are going to extend the windows back to allow for a longer theater, shortening them was ridiculous to begin with. I know they were trying to kick off Disney Plus and all these damn services, but they really screwed themselves. Because I'm like, if I know this movie is going to be streamable in 5 weeks, there is no point in spending. And I'm on a subscription plan. I spend $21 a month, and I can see as many movies as I want. So I go and I see damn near everything I can possibly see. If I was, young and dating, I was looking at the ticket prices once. I'm like, when the hell did they raise this high? It's like you go a pop is $10.
Such a like a Seinfeld scenario of just you're like my identity is I see movies, so I'm only going to take dates in this super like fiscally responsible dating permutation.
On Tuesdays, tickets
exactly $5 Tuesday.
She's like, I can't eat popcorn. You're just like, and we were done. The last date.
But it's a true to fact. Like with me and my wife, like when I was like, hey, we could go see a movie. She's like, you want to sit in a darkened room for 2 hours where we can't talk? We have kids. The kids are with our parents. Like this is our time to be together, to be a couple again.
And you're like,
I don't want to sit next to you in silence for 2 hours. I want to interact with you. And it's like, all right, well, we went and saw Obsession. We went and saw a scary movie. We saw Scream 7. Because those were movies. There's like, you know what we should do? We should go to the movies.
An event.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, so Hunter, you saw it's funny to say that it was a retro screening. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we have at Esquire, they run a Esquire in Kenwood Theaters. Yeah. Show indie. It's an indie house. They show big things, of course, but they have different groups that curate different nights. And so Hunter didn't see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in theaters. And so him, and Hyance went and saw it. And it was great to see, because when Once Upon a Time came out, it was Tarantino's talked about it got right before COVID. It was like that last wave of that theatrical experience, which it was so wild to me that now, like in COVID, we discovered things via streaming. It's almost like we all bought into streaming because we had to, because it was COVID. And then we said, we were just like, oh, you know that girl that's not interested in you, the theater, the thing you can't go to anyway? You're just like, fuck it. I don't like you now anyway. You're expensive and I hated you. All the things we always knew, we always talked about. Like now I'm saying it and I don't need you. It's like, well, you can't go to it. And then we got like, we thought we were just like, yeah, streaming is great. And yes, Palm Springs, all the different Tiger King, even like the things that came out of streaming that made a water cooler moment for COVID was great during that time. But it also feels like it's been 20 years since COVID, while also just being a short window where we're seeing theaters talk about marketing capitalism.
Re-release movies that were just for streaming or just came out.
They're figuring out like what is the market. Oh shit. We have a bunch of 30, honestly, with Gage, who's, it seems like that is the tail. Well, I'm saying that seems like the tail end of like what you were saying of you recognizing that people younger than you were not going back into the well because there was too much new. So it kind of feels like that's where we kind of cusp to like 50-year-olds, like my brother, Eric. I liken it to the video store. I think the video store is that place where it was like a museum for movies and it was just like, ooh, what's this? They're all in boxes. Like nothing
I can't
is
tell you the
in,
number of times I went in there and didn't walk out with a video because everything was sold out anyway. You're sitting there, nope, you know, there's no video behind this box.
And Mom and Pop had one copy of My Boyfriend's Back.
Yeah.
And if it was rented out, you had to get a Blockbuster where they didn't have it because it was rated R. But,
exactly. But I would pop in anyway just to walk around and say, oh, what is this? What is this? Read all the back of the boxes, you know. I used to love HBO primarily for the HBO guide that they mailed to me.
Yeah.
And I read every single thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And I read every single thing just to read up on movies because I was always interested.
Well, and so we had Leonard Moulton's movie critic book. Yeah. And so like we had 2 volumes, one that was falling apart that was actually in 2 chunks that my dad had. And it was like he rated that's why my dad was just like, film critics are pricks. He's like, if you ever want to, it's so funny that my dad being a sports guy, like, but loving pop culture, he was just like, if you want to ever see the definition of those who cannot teach, and those who cannot teach Jim.
Yeah.
He's like, it's film critics. He's like, they are sassy little bitches who couldn't get their script sold or whatever. And he's like, you want to see the biggest example? Roger Ebert wrote one movie and then like it's a cult classic and then can shit on all this other stuff. He's like, Leonard Maltin's book, he's like, look at this. He's like, this is the book from like 1988. He gives Smokey and the Bandit a bomb. The number 2 grossing movie in the United States in 77 to Star Wars is fucking Smokey and the Bandit. And Leonard Maltin doesn't even respect the cultural impact of the film.
I remember Siskel and Ebert both gave Speed 2 thumbs up. Like, okay, you mean nothing to me anymore. The only reason I watched the show was just to see these clips from the movies to make my own decision whether I want to know.
This is the same world of like Rotten Tomatoes. I think gave Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I think like 3.5 star or whatever, fucking high tomato, whatever their fucking metric is. The highest. And I was just like, it's not. And I'm like, I'm not the one who's I'm not the decider, but I'm just like, it's like saying that Attack of the Clones episode 2. There may be some people that fucking love that movie.
Yep.
That's fine.
That's good for them.
But if you look at a filmmaker, George Lucas, and you look at his career and you're just like, as a movie, as entertainment, is that good? And it's just like, no. Comparatively, if you're ranking him against himself, I'm sure he wouldn't be like, oh, honestly, if you THX and Attack of the Clones. Like,
I agree. If you're ranking him against himself, yes. If you're ranking episode 2 against episode 1, I walked out, I'm like, oh my God, thank God we're back on track because I was so disappointed by one. And episode two saves itself for no other reason than the Yoda fight scene. To me, that's what saved the whole damn thing. And I'm like, you know
gravy,
what?
sir.
I loved
Christopher Lee's
Loved
head
it.
floating
Loved
on
it.
that like stuntman's
incredible.
body. I was just like, and they say "Man with the Golden Gun" was cheesy. I was like, this is. Oh,
Are you
man,
telling me a little
dude,
frog man jumping around with a lit up sword
Yoda man
is
Yoda
cheesy?
Man. Yeah.
Here's- when they said
holy
that
shit,
Yoda
man.
was a-
You are now dead to Kyle.
Well, Eric, what are you
You're gonna
saying?
tell me Revenge of the Sith is a good movie?
Yeah, the last-
They kill all the Jedi except for a handful in one movie, and they do it in like a minute montage. The most interesting thing that we have no knowledge of that they could have spent time on. No, but they have a fucking Yoda Emperor fight. It's just like, hey, we know these motherfuckers are alive because we saw the first three movies.
There's
they
books
talk
for
about
that.
it-
You can read books about that.
There it is. And the original trilogy, when they talk about Yoda being this master trainer and this master fighter, not once did I ever think it was with a lightsaber. I was just like, maybe he's really good at like moving forces around and like coming up with like strategic battle ideas. And then I saw that and I was like, nope.
Dude, Kyle, this is why. Kyle, do you love the Friday the 13th franchise?
I like it.
So
I'm not a huge fan, but I've seen every one of them.
Yes, you like the probably the idea of the urban legend of it, like that vibe and the feeling and the fandom and the iconography and blah blah
And
blah.
Deborah
like,
Voorhees.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Part 5 is my favorite for so many formative reasons. But I also like outliers. Like I like Halloween 3. I like Halloween 6. Like I like.
I
Freddy's Dead for
love
different
Halloween
reasons.
3.
Yeah. But so okay. I think you like episode 2 for the reason why, if you can get your hands on the Phantom edit of episode 1, the guy who did it was a commercial. It's all of his information's out there now. You can Wikipedia this. It's probably on YouTube or whatever. But like, I swear it ties in.
No.
So Hunter and I, in the days of like Kaza and Napster,
Or Napster, yeah.
we get this Phantom Menace, but with it's re-edited.
Yeah,
And it's
I
less
knew
jarring.
that it existed, but I never saw it.
So there's also a version with a commentary where we find out that this guy is a commercial editor, a music video editor in California. And he was just so flabbergasted with episode 1. He kind of excuses in his commentary, if you listen for his choices of edits. He's like, I think just the bar was set too high for George. And like, he was serving so many masters. He's just so apologetic. He's just like,
so much grace.
yes. He's like,
When the episode 2 goes, just like, what the fuck is this?
yes. His edit of that is just like, dude, this dude is high. Like,
Even to
man.
the point where he was just like, I have a conversation of George Lucas saying in episode 1 that the reason why he does a certain thing is blah, blah, blah. He's like, but then he just completely counteracts that argument in episode 2 on the commentary. Like, I just like the Django Fett because I thought the armor was really cool. So I wanted this really
But
long.
so one of the things they talk about with breaking down episode 2 is the Phantom editor uses the opening scene with the Queen Amidala switcheroo, the misdirect, and he's like, if you want to appreciate anything about this movie, is George Lucas, if he did it on purpose, is he's making schlock. He's making schlock on purpose, right? So he elevated the serial genre with the first 3 movies, right? For that day and age, and he had something to say with the juxtaposition between a future that's lived in and not the idealization of a Buck Rogers and blah, 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 and swashbuckling. So, because he's part of the film brats. And like THX, Star Wars is the palpable serial commercialized version of that. So with the prequels, is he such an auteur that he is making such a choice to make it schlock and leaning on, well, what is the technology? Well, okay, let's just do that. Not the let's make it practical. Let's make it, Ray Harryhausen, tangible and touchable. Let's make it artifice because that's what it fucking is. So the Phantom editor talks about that, and he's like, here's the opening scene with the switcheroo of Amidala. Here's my proof that he's making schlock. It's framed the exact same way as the body being thrown through the window in Friday the 13th, part 2. Or part 3, where it's like, clearly they frame it in a way, it's like, just wait, something's going to get thrown through this, and it fully, like, fulfills. Like with the bomb exploding. And he's like, that is just bad filmmaking. It's either bad, lazy filmmaking, or it's such the highest filmmaking that it's a choice to make garbage.
Man, now I just want to watch episode 2 with you. I just want to see what you see, right? Like, clearly, like,
Yes,
you see
yeah,
that
same.
you don't see. So that's very interesting to me.
I swear I'm not shitting on it.
You are.
We've talked about that. Like the moment I checked out was in 1 year, the Justice League came out, and basically anytime I bought a popcorn bucket for a movie, the movie ended up sucking dick. But like I got the Justice League bucket, and it was after Joss Whedon came on and took over, and I was just like, yeah, he did the Avengers, right? And I was never like a Buffy fan, but I love Cabin in the Woods. But I was just like, yeah, okay, he'll probably make a good movie. And then Justice League, I was just like, boof.
Good movie.
I was like, that's not good, but like, I enjoyed my popcorn, and I don't know. But the screen credit said
it was better than Batman versus
Superman.
BVS.
Superman.
Yeah,
the Dawn of Justice.
I agree.
That one to me is rock bottom.
Man, but what a great opening scene in Dawn of Justice, where they have Ben Affleck's Batman running
drops the
to
pearls
the
again.
destruction. She drops the pearls again. She just can't hold on. If they hadn't eaten lobster that night and all that butter, she wouldn't have dropped those pearls.
I get it.
But like
whole
him
nother
running
movie.
in, so 9/11 and BVS,
9/11?
and then well,
What?
so at the end of Man of Steel, no.
If we're going to
At the
talk
end of
about
Man of
Batman
Steel-
versus Superman, we got to go all the way back.
No, but that is 9/11, right? Man of Steel.
In 1823.
Yes.
So in Transformers, when they're like, we got to get rid of this cube and we got to protect it somewhere where it doesn't cause any destruction, they take it to downtown Dallas.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's
It is
yeah.
plain sight. Come on, Ricky.
So anyway, opening a BVS, great promise, and then he's the world's worst detective. Batman does zero detecting, and even Jeremy Irons is just like, dude, Bruce, like,
Maybe you could do some
pick up, yeah, like read a newspaper. I think the dude who is Superman writes for the paper and is his own hype man. I think I figured it out through old timey journalism. But yeah, but so that's Justice League. It said written by Chris Terrio, and I was just like, oh man, that guy just made slop. Like that. There's just a lot of hat in a hat, and like just characters together, bad CGI. This felt like Attack of the Clones. This felt like a prequels. Man, just a few months later, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker comes out,
Really hard. to
and I'm
recommend.
just like, oh.
It's really hard.
And
to
I was just
recommend.
like, it's just, I was just like, I'm done. Like Last Jedi made me question my faith. Like Force Awakens, I was like, yeah, we're back, boys. Like, you know, Han Solo, he's like, we're back, Chewie. It's like, we sure are. Like Han, like, yep. And then you gave me feels, you gave me some characters I liked. Last Jedi
Yeah.
was like the New Testament. Like, yeah, like you had to like,
We actually just recorded it ended up being 2-hour deep dive into Star Wars.
Wow.
And we haven't even aired it yet. We're releasing it. I don't know if it's going to be before this or probably maybe after this.
It's going to be after this.
Yeah, because we got to
At
get
this
you
point,
on.
you could
fast.
stitch the episodes together. And
That's what I'm
4
thinking.
hours.
This
We
could be
might,
an addendum
we
on
might
that.
put that in there.
just
the
take
other
this.
opinions.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this was the same thing. Because we're sitting there and we're like, okay, you do all this stuff to establish this new film franchise, and what the mistake to me was, you made 3 different people responsible for 3 different parts.
Yeah.
And then the second one was, in to Ryan Johnson's defense, he had to not start it, figure out what, wait to find out what the movie was going to be, and then say, oh, by the way, you also can't end it. And I'm like, well, that's a terrible situation to be in. But at the same time,
my
he
brother
takes
said-
over and says, fuck what happened in the last one. We'll start over. And then
That
the
is
guy
why
that
I-
you just
yeah.
walked over now took over and has got to figure out how to put it back together.
The opening.
That's
the opening. I have the biggest
Ryan
issue.
Johnson. He's terrible. Ryan Johnson
I cannot
sucks.
defend. I love Glass Onion. I don't love Knives
Okay,
Out.
that's great. His Star Wars movies suck. Yeah.
Yeah, so Last Jedi though, the opening after the J.J. Abrams, but like J.J. Abrams is a mystery box creator, and he's been fucking having to do that for Disney for years with fucking Lost, and so him not doing, I'm down with that, right? We have Lawrence Kasdan coming in an Empire and really making, they have a journeyman with Irving Kershner at the helm. He can make a fucking movie, right?
But
He
also
is like a
Lucas
John
was
Ford.
there for the whole trilogy and all the prequels. So
I
for the
think
next one, it's like,
I gotta
seriously,
disagree. I
it's
think the
three
best thing about
completely
the
different
original
people.
movies- I think the best thing about the originals is that he started it off and he set the world and the mythology, and then better filmmakers came in and made movies. And Jedi lacks, because he was so hands-on with Richard Marquand. Lucas was fucking kicked off of Empire by Irving Kershner and Kasdan because he didn't play the DGA roles. Like, they were just like, look, we're making this movie. We got what we need from you. He, with Richard Marquand, when it went from, it was never going to be Lynch, but he was able to be hands-on then. And then you have Harrison Ford, who doesn't want to be there.
Yeah.
When you have an actor who visibly doesn't want to be there and they have to write that into the character, like, I think that it's not the Ewoks that hurt that movie. I think Jedi has an amazing beginning and amazing end. And Jedi almost has the opposite. Last Jedi has the opposite as Return of the Jedi, is the promise, the running out of gas. That's, oh my God.
This is such a great.
Yeah, that was the thing I did. I'm like, we have a movie about trying to get gas.
Yes.
We're looking for somebody we don't find.
Well, and
There's been an
Battlestar
hour not
Galactica-
training Ray. I'm like, what's the point of this movie? And then we're going to kill off the person who's alive and not kill the person who died. And I'm like,
Well, that's
okay.
normally how it goes, right? You kill off the
And
person
so-
who's alive.
Yeah.
But so like the beginning of the magic of Luke getting the lightsaber, there's ways to do that without giving the middle finger. And I feel like that's the first mistake of the movie, is having Luke be disillusioned. Fantastic. Show us the other Obi-Wan, not the Obi-Wan in waiting, but you can have him be this like, fuck man, there's a gray. Like, we all talk about piracy, we talk about dark light, but there's a gray, and like clearly like my shoulders are heavy for being the Atlas for this only surviving thing, right? Now I got to restart the fucking church. I'm Jesus. Right? And so heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'm crazy. Cuz my life is ever changing.
How the books went.
I think that's what really pissed me off about Ryan Johnson and the way he handled Star Wars, was that it is the first three. It's not a deep, complex story. It is it's good versus evil. It's a family movie. I mean, not. It is, but I mean, it's about family
From a certain point
and
of
also,
view.
it's good and evil.
Yeah.
It's
You-
good
you
and
can
evil.
kiss
And
your
Ryan
sister, it's
Johnson's
all
like,
right.
Ooh, but what if we subvert expectations and let me get real?
And that's the two
and then
things,
You're
is
like
the
putting
beginning-
yourself above the audience, and it drives me nuts. And I hate that Ryan Johnson is. His portrayal of Star Wars was very pretentious, and I hate it.
But Benicio del Toro,
that's all I'll say about Star Wars.
So he does two things from Ronald Moore's Battlestar Galactica. He does the running out of gas, which is one episode, which is fantastic, and the Edward James Olmos Battlestar Galactica. That is just one episode. That is a major plot point in this new in Last Jedi. But the other thing they borrow from from Battlestar Galactica is Benicio del Toro, the other thing at the end that doesn't continue.
Yeah, everybody's
Which
on the same side of war.
Yes.
It's all about making money. Yeah.
My
I guess
brother,
I kinda have-
Eric in my family, was just like, we were in the movie theater and he's just like, I bet you they never bring that up again.
Yeah.
That the rich are funding both sides of the war.
My
That this
computer
is what the
is
Star
about to
Wars
die,
are.
and I don't know where the charger is.
Oh, okay.
Well,
We should wrap it up, yeah.
We've hit the 2-hour mark, so I think anytime Ricky's with us, we know we're going 2 hours
Sure, I'm not gonna
for sure. We appreciate everybody coming on. This is fantastic. Thank you guys so much. The movie is called Run, and you can be a part of it at Seed and Spark. We've got the link in the description right now. Ricky, give us in 1 minute your last ploy or last plea to get people to participate in this film. And if Gage disappears, we know why. So
you're not.
If you love Star Wars Episode 2, you're going to love Run. That's all I'll say.
Honestly, yeah, probably, because it's us doing our better version of just like writing that second passage, that sequel. I would say you're not donating, you're contributing. Gage died. I like that was his pitch. You're not donating, you're contributing, because anything that you get or anything that you give, you're making a movie. You're not getting something. You're just kind of pre-ordering. You're kind of investing in this thing that you're just like, yeah, I like that idea. I want to see this new thing that isn't tied to necessarily a direct IP that gives you that false security of like, well, maybe this will be good.
Or a director or
Yeah.
an IP that's popular on the internet.
Yeah, you are going to help fund something original that's never been made that could become a classic in itself, where in the future people will say, you know what, this movie is like Run.
Yep.
Oh, Sweetmeats is a great example of just like you go to the Letterboxd reviews where the things that people glom onto are like, or really get specific about in their lengthier reviews, which I love, are the specificities of what they find interesting and original, where they're just like, oh, this music might be like this, or this makes you feel like this. But then like a lot of the reviews are like, but man, I've never seen them all put together like that. It's just stuff like that where like, I think that's, well, like, so Eric being a horror novelist, but also coming from music, he also fulfills that like multi-sided like triangle of, or I guess 3-sided triangle, because
most triangles 3 sides.
Yes, but anyway, of just like all the different kinds of arts that we're trying to like do.
Don't scream, don't hide, just run. We can't wait to make the film with you.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect.
I want to add in a little plug here too.
Yeah.
To me, this movie sounds, from everything that I've read, everything that you guys have talked about tonight, this sounds a lot like it could be the next Behind the Mask.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like to me. And look at what kind of classic that movie is. People have been screaming and hollering for a sequel for so long. This could be the next one.
We didn't know. Again, that's that Rockford Files like casually cool thing.
Yeah,
Hunter and I were trading that movie back and forth. Was it a Best Buy exclusive, the DVD?
Oh, maybe.
And so like I can't remember if I showed it to you or if you showed it to me, vice versa. But it was one of those, yeah, like Battle Royale was another one of those. But like we were watching it, we're just like, oh, we like this movie a lot. We're going to talk it up.
This movie more popular. Why aren't people talking about this movie like they talk about Scream? Because to me, it's kind of the same thing.
But we also, though, we answered some of those questions. And then we also, for years, have been answering that question of just like, well, what is it that we would do, Monday morning quarterbacking, what will we do different? And that kind of is what Run is. And so we were, as quickly as Run came together and then pivoted from Truly Trudy, is right when Behind the Mask 2 hits. And it's just like, oh, interesting. I'm like, I hope they're not doing what we're doing. Like,
well, thanks again for coming on here. We're going to provide the link below. Get in there. There's only a few days left. So please, please, please back this film. You will not regret it. Sweetmeats was fantastic. We really, really enjoyed that film. So if you want to see something creative, something new, Run is the film for you. For John Horton, I'm Kyle Pierson. Thank you so much for watching Attack of the Spotlight. You can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, and on your favorite podcast services. Have a good night and catch you next time.
Hi everyone, I'm Giovanni Frezza.
How many more are doomed to follow?
The New Barbarians.
Yes, the demons are coming, and they're coming for you. Warning, demons.
It's been a while, isn't it? I'm happy to share that I'll be playing the character of Vespa in the upcoming movie Run. Run is a dark dystopian horror story with a twisted sense of humor. I can't wait for you to see what the team has created. We will have a lot of fun. And don't worry, this time I won't be dubbed.
So this is a quick support video for the production Run from Ricky Glore. It's a horror film and they're trying to get the money together per crowdfunding, so please support it. A real indie film, and I help him being a kind of a producer on it, and I help him with my support to make this movie happen. That would be great. And support it wherever you can, and all the best for the production Run, who has the same title like my movie Run.